Good morning, Binanceans. Welcome to this week's episode of Binance Beach. As always, I'm your host, Lotto. And this week, we have our very first return guest. Tom, welcome back to the pod.
Mate, glad to be on. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Well, you must have done something right last time because we got some great feedback. And I also think you're very well qualified today to talk through our topic, which is meme coins. We're going to be covering what they are, what gives them value. We'll talk about a brief history of meme coins from the first, true crypto meme coin, Dogecoin, through the Solana Summer this year. And we'll also cover how you can start to do your own research when it comes to meme coins and not get caught up in the hype cycle. So let's do it, Tom. Let's chat memes.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Well, let's start with what some people call the original meme coin, the Bitcoin price. This week we are up. We are green, which is great to see. We're sitting just above $65,000 US, and we're up nearly 4% on the week. This seems to be rallying after the Fed pivot, which really seems to be helping the market move in a positive direction. When we look across when we look across the altcoin market, we're also seeing a lot of green. Bitcoin obviously leads the market, but Ethereum finally seeing some positive price action on Ethereum, up 7.5%. BNB up nearly 7. Solana leading the pack at 9.6 there. But let's do a quick meme coin update on the week too. Really strong performance this week across meme coins. Dogecoin up 14%, SHIB up 35, Pepe 22, Dog with Hat 28. So really strong performance across the market. Tom, how are you feeling after the Fed pivot? And is this what's driving markets? And will it continue?
I'm feeling very, very comfy after Fed pivot. You've also got rates being cut in China as well. There just seems to be a inflow of cheaper money back into the system. I know there's a lot of different takes on Fed rate cuts and whether or not it's immediately bearish or long-term bullish, but I do think that access to cheaper money is always better for risk-on markets. And it's one of those situations where I just think, don't overthink it. Like it's a good thing. It's pretty clear cut that this is good news for risk assets. So yeah, feeling pretty confident in that. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's get into our subject for the week, meme coins. Tom, what makes a meme coin and what gives it value?
Oh, this is one of those things where there's a lot of different opinions, but on the whole, what makes a meme coin is that it is this kind of group consensus that it is fundamentally worthless, and that's the whole point. I think that it's a
Not
contradiction
giving
in
exactly
terms.
the answer I was expecting.
It's like that's what's funny about it, and we saw that with Dogecoin. You look at how it all started, and it was very much a joke of like, haha, what if we just did like essentially what Bitcoin does, but it's a picture of a funny dog. And I think the creator Jackson Palmer never really wanted. I mean, he eventually went out, didn't want anything to do with Dogecoin, and was like, "Ah, I can't deal with it," and that's fair for him. But it was fundamentally like, what if we just put a funny dog on a coin and see what happens? And then clearly in 2021, I've forgotten what it reached, but it was some ridiculous number in terms of market capitalization. Like you could have traded on the Nasdaq, um, which is absurd for something that was created with the intention of being pointless. Um, but this idea of what gives it value, this is what people really, really struggle with in that nothing gives it value. And I think that's what people are drawn to. Like they don't have to do any, fundamental analysis of it of like, oh, well, it's got this discounted cash flow or I've got to check the EBITDA of it. It's just like, haha, money printer go brr meme, but with a token. And I think that, yeah, that's fundamentally what gives it value. Um, that also makes me bearish on meme coins that try and do utility, funnily enough. So whenever a meme coin comes in and is like, oh, well, we're going to do this with the meme coin, or we're going to make it give it some kind of value for users in some other sense. It's like, well, it's no longer a meme coin; it's a utility coin, and you can't call it that. So, and I think that people are quite attuned to when there's inverse incentives going on, and people are attracted to this idea of just like a community of people that own a token because it's funny, and that's it. Which is, it's hard for some people to wrap their heads around. They're just like, well, why is it worth anything? It's like, well, it isn't. That's the gag. Run with it. Yep.
That's an incredibly good point. I think crypto is so complicated, and so much of what we're building is really hard to wrap your head around. And I find that, as somebody who works in the space, is so deep down the rabbit hole, spends a lot of time on crypto Twitter, and still needs to take a lot of time to wrap my head around a lot of these ideas or protocols, what they're trying to do and what they're trying to achieve. And so I guess, yeah, you're right. Meme coins are so simple to understand. They're almost the easiest thing to understand in crypto, plus they're funny. And so it makes a really good entry point for a lot of people who are looking to speculate on on tokens. They can do so quickly and easily, and with a joke they can understand instead of a protocol that they can't.
Yeah.
Let's run through a bit of a history of meme coins. Dogecoin was the first meme coin, as you've mentioned, but take us through a few of the major players and, yeah, how we've been on this journey so far.
Yeah, started with Dogecoin, and then you had a lot of like immediate, I would say, copycats like Shiba Inu, Floki, mostly centered around dogs. Like this is going to be lower your IQ for this conversation. Like this is not going to be any kind of technical thing. It's like there's certain metas that come into favor, very much like memes of like there's certain things that people find funny or attractive. Like there's these viral moments. Think more recently of like Hawk Tour Girl, like those kind of things that just capture mindshare, they're trends, and each niche has its own trends. And with meme coins, historically it's been animals. It's been like funny dog. People saw Doge do it, and they got attracted to this idea of like, oh, well, we can just make dog coins go up a lot. And so you had that kick off. And then you had kind of this lull in memes for quite a long time. I think everyone had just, it was a lot of grave dancing, and rightfully so, of like, why would anyone think that these are worth anything? So late 2022 through most of 2023, nothing really happened. And then I think things properly kicked off again with the launch of Pepe. And that kind of sparked this idea of like, oh, wait, oh, it's a frog this time. But it was this consensus of, oh, there's an internet meme that everyone knows, and we're going to make a token out of it. And so Pepe launched. And then later in 2023, there was very much the like Solana uptick. That's when Bonk started to run, another dog. And people were like, well, hey, what's going on here? And then, yeah, much later on into 2023, that's when you had things like Whiff show up. And that really kicked off the Solana Summer, where things just went mental. Like there were new meme coins showing up on the deployer pump.fun that were just running directly to like 50 to 100 mil in the case of, 36, 72 hours. And it was like, what's going on here? I'm not sure if a lot of people made money in this. I think a select few people did very, very well, and a lot of people got rinsed. And that's something that also needs to be addressed with meme coins as well. Like they are so dangerous. They are essentially a Mexican standoff. If you have a risk tolerance and you're comfortable being involved, I think that the best mentality to have with meme coins is essentially saying like, I'm happy for this to go to zero. And if it does, that's on me. But anything beyond that is great. But yeah, I do think they are funny. It's a good way to build a community. I do think it serves as a useful entry point for people into crypto. It's like, oh, here's an easy thing. You don't have to understand the super complicated DeFi protocol. It's just a funny coin. But yeah, that's kind of like a very brief overview of what's happened. Like the good meme coins tend to be kind of funny animals.
It has
whatever
been
reason.
raining cats and dogs in meme land for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw some analysis of Pump.Fun launches about a month or two ago, and your chances of winning the lottery, like the traditional lottery, were better than your chances of hitting a pump.fun meme coin early and riding it
Yeah.
to
Yep.
profit, which I think speaks to how users need to be really vigilant and do their own research in this space. Let's
The
pivot
stats were there as
to.
well of oh, sorry, man.
No, you go.
The stats were there as well of like if you were using Pump.Fun, I think it was 1% of all users of Pump.Fun made over $1,000. So keep
Wow.
that in mind.
Absolutely. Do your own research, folks. Let's pivot to
Yep.
a question that I've heard before, and I'd love your take. Was Bitcoin the original meme coin?
That's something that I'm partial to. I think that it makes sense in that you had a guy, Satoshi Nakamoto, show up and say, "Hey, here's a token. If you don't like banks, and if you don't like the traditional financial system, you can hold this coin, and it will signal to others that you're part of a community that doesn't, play along with the rules." So, in that sense, yes, I do think that there is that it reminds me of that thing of like, particularly because this cycle has been so meme coin oriented, it makes me think of that analogy of like to a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I think that yes, Bitcoin it has a mimetic quality. It spreads through this layer of, yeah, screw the banks, screw the traditional financial system. I'm holding a hard asset and I don't want to be a part of it. So in that sense, it is mimetic. But I think it's got a bit more of a value prop than than meme coins do. But I like this idea of it is in a sense the original meme coin. It was propagated on the internet. It was propagated through people saying, "Hey, like we all share this common idea." And when it first showed up, everyone was like, "Why would this have any value? Why would I hold this? It's a blockchain. Uh, there's computers doing things. Who cares?" And just enough people holding it and essentially making the thesis come true. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy, much like a meme coin in that sense of if you didn't have lots of people that believed in it, it wouldn't be worth anything. So yeah. So yes and no is my is my answer to that question.
At this point, you sound like the crypto tax professionals we've had on the show. Yes and no is their
Oh,
favorite answer.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the community element around Bitcoin, particularly, like Bitcoin has such a strong community, such a loyal community, and it's definitely bigger and stronger than any other, meme coin in the space. And
Yep.
I think that's one interesting place you can draw a parallel between Bitcoin and meme coins, particularly when everything else, in air quotes, is built for a purpose, a protocol, or a specific use case. And Bitcoin is and isn't. It's such a gray line. It's such an interesting
Yep.
thought experiment.
Yep.
How do you do your own research on meme coins? How can you keep yourself informed and safe when you're looking to trade these speculative assets?
Okay.
It's not an easy question.
There's so many ways to look at this, but with meme coins, I think throw safety out the window. If you think that there's going to be like a very like safe way to invest in memes, there's probably not. Like as someone who's heavily over allocated to meme coins, like there was a point during the yen carry trade unwind. I think when I was speaking to you last on this show, I watched my entire portfolio go down 80% in 3 days. And I did some like hedging with some buying, but there's dangers involved, and it can be incredibly risky, and I've felt that. But in terms of how to do your own research on meme coins, at a very general level, meme coins require you to be plugged in to the ecosystem. So that would be, you know, being on crypto Twitter a lot, following large meme coin accounts. This is not like, again, lower your IQ for this conversation, but it's following large accounts and looking. You have to vet them as well. Like there's a lot of shills and influencers that can do really nasty stuff with memes. Like a lot of people use them as vehicles to essentially run them up, dump on their followers. That's it, game over. So you need to avoid those. Um, and then, yeah, fundamentally, it is a social activity. This is done based on people rushing to buy certain things. So doing your own research is essentially looking at the social sentiment around meme coins, looking at the size of their communities. You can, I've forgotten the exact name of the tool, but you can essentially look at, you can just type into Google like new holders of whatever coin. And you can look at the trend line of the number of people and the number of wallets that hold a certain meme coin and the average size of those wallets. If you have a very, very high distribution number of people with relatively large amounts that have held it for a long period of time, that's a very good sign of a healthy meme coin. But if it's held by a really small number of wallets that own like 50% of the distribution of the supply, that's not great, because it means that there's essentially 50 to 100 people that if they decide that they want some more money for their weekend on a yacht, they can dump it. So it's looking at those distributions. It's being plugged into the sentiment on crypto Twitter, and just having an awareness of what's kind of in vogue at the moment. With memes, you do really want to avoid top blasting, buying on these huge rips. But at the same time, you do want to add to winners. And I think that's a very, very important analogy of like, if you look at something like boxing or the UFC, you don't want to bet on a fighter that's just lost their last 30 fights and bet on the comeback. It's like, sure, that's probably where some ROI is, but it's very unlikely that a loser is going to win out of the blue. And so with memes, kind of the strategy that I use is like waiting for things to prove themselves and then waiting for a sell-off and then kind of scaling in at a level where I think is comfortable, having a think about where markets are headed in the short term. Like if everyone's freakishly bearish, that can be a good time. But, if you think that we're on a downtrend, memes are not your friend.
Well answered. Yeah, for a part of the space that is so easy to enter and understand on the surface, it is probably one of the most complex areas from a trading strategy perspective and a technical analysis perspective. When people look at crypto, particularly, the projects in the top 100 market cap, by market cap, for example, I like to tell people, I like to say, these are all products and they're built to solve problems. And so a great way to approach your research here is to try the product and see if it solves a problem for you. And if it does, it might solve a problem for other people. And you have the basis for some fundamentals there. And that, I think, is easy and fun. And it's a good way for people to build their crypto repertoire and their depth of knowledge. But with meme coins, we just don't have that ability whatsoever. It's such a subjective and vibes-based analysis, vibes-based approach, that it is actually quite a technical, quite a complex part of crypto from a trading strategy perspective, especially. So please do your own research. Please be careful if you are looking to get into this area of crypto. And of course, don't over allocate, because that is the real trap. Let's move to more of a philosophical question. Why do meme coins capture so much of our mindshare in crypto? Why are they so entertaining?
This time around, so previously, I think they were kind of a novelty. It was like whoa, Doge can go to 80 bill or something like that. And people flipped out, and some people just made money. They had no idea why they did. They just did. It was profitable for many and not so profitable for others. But this time around, I think that the reason that meme coins have outperformed everything else, like meme coins are the new altcoins of this cycle. In that they've been really the only thing that if you'd been in the market for the last 12 months, you kind of would have wanted to have had some allocation to meme coins to feel like you'd captured value or captured any of the upside in the recent move. And so why do they capture so much mindshare? I think that this time around, the cycle has very much been dominated by these kind of like low float, high FDV launches. I think I mentioned this a little bit last time, but you had a lot of these big infrastructure projects come in that were funded by VCs and then launched at huge valuations. So when they launched, they're launching at $3, $5, $10 billion FDVs, which is like the essentially the what the token will be worth if its full circulating supply of tokens was on the market. So it's not its market cap at the time, but it's like if it were to drop all of them on the market, that's what it'd be worth. And so a lot of these tokens came out and retail was like, oh, sweet, cool, new coins, we're going to the moon, only to be kind of sold into by much more sophisticated market actors. And I think that this time around, institutions realize that, retail is kind of the dumping ground of like, oh, wow, these people will buy anything. We'll just launch these coins and we'll make lots of profit on them, regardless of what they launch at. And so I think meme coins this time were essentially an immune response to that. It was like, okay, we're not finding any, 10, 100x's in the new infra projects that are being launched. Stuff it. I'm going to go to the trenches. I'm going to launch meme coins and I'm going to speculate on these. And so I think that's partially why. And then you add on the kind of financial nihilism aspect as well of people kind of in a cost of living crisis. There's this feeling that I'm not going to be able to afford a home, or I'm not going to be able to afford the assets that I want. Chuck in social media where people comparing themselves to others with, yachts and Lambos, all that kind of thing. And you get this kind of aggressive speculation. And what's better for aggressive speculation than meme coins? Because it's like, if I want to hit it big, this is how I'm going to do it. So when you have that collective mind share of motivated by huge upside and everyone's playing the game, meme coins are just kind of like the point for people to arrive at and go, stuff it. I'm going in on crypto. Crypto is the place where I get 100x. I'm not going to get it on the new infra. I'm going to get it on meme coins. So I think that's probably the main reason that it's caught so much mind share this time around.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And even if we reflect on the past 6 to 12 months in the market, we had a big rally in Bitcoin. We had little sectors pop off like crypto AI. But a lot of the established protocols, old DeFi protocols, and particularly, the ETH ecosystem, hasn't had a lot of really strong positive movement. And so the excitement has been on these small market cap tokens. And I agree with you. I think that's where traders have gone to try and make some entertainment and make some significant, really significant trades, while the rest of the market has been a little bit flat, a little bit boring, or in even just a slow grind up, which in crypto is not always what everybody's looking for.
No.
Well, if you are going to trade meme coins, the best place to do it right now, and here's my shill, is with our Aussie Crypto trading comp. You could share in a 3.5 BNB prize pool, and we've got premium GA tickets to the convention, which include access to the yacht after party around Sydney Harbour. If you'd like to participate, all you need to do is visit this page. You can find it on our Twitter, or you can see it in the YouTube description, or I'll put it in the Twitter description as well. Visit this page, log into your Binance account, click join now, and you'll be able to join the competition, trade, and the top 10 traders by volume will be receiving some kind of prize, be it a share in that 3.5 BNB or a ticket to the Australian Crypto Convention. So if you are looking to trade meme coins, this is a great way to do it and potentially get yourself into the convention as well, which we're all pretty excited about. Tom, thanks so much for jumping on. It was great to chat. Great to hear some of your experience with meme coins and your takes on the market. We'll have you back another time, but thanks so much for joining us.
Mate, not a worry. Thanks so much for having me on.
Fantastic. I'll wrap us up with a disclaimer. Please note that this discussion includes insights from non-affiliated third parties and key opinion leaders. Binance provides this platform for informational and educational purposes only and is not responsible for any content or insights provided. This information should not be considered as financial, tax, or investment advice from Binance. Please let us know who else you'd like to have on the show. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and follow the Binance Australia account on Twitter. Thanks so much for joining us, Binanceans. I will see you again next week. Thank you.